Welcome to disnewknow International, a podcast about global disability news. An offshoot of the disnewknow UK podcast, a space in time where we're part of the headlines.
Hello, welcome to the first edition of disnewknow International. A bit like the Disability 2 disnewknow UK podcast, and as the name suggests, there's going to be located national disability news. First few episodes is going to be more of a roundup, bit like this roundup show. I will be bringing it back, and then later down the line I'll flesh it out, and it'll be more like the UK podcast, but I'm just dipping my toes into it, so it's going to be brief look at its social news. So, first story is the USA. US Department of Justice has officially moved into implementation of a landmark rule requiring all states and local governments to be strict ethical standards of mobile apps and websites. This ensures that millions of people with vision, hearing and cognitive disabilities have equal access to essential public services like voter administration, tax filing and emergency alerts. Second story from Mexico. Human Rights Watch warns against flawed care law. Human Rights Watch HRW issues version 3 for today recording drop in Mexico City. Or the bill aims to establish a new care system. The HRW warns in fact that personal assistance funding necessary for people with disabilities to live independent. Advocates fear the bill's restricted budget and lack of deinstitutionalisation strategy will trap disabled people in family dependency or institutions. We'll actually come back to this in a nice episode. Sounds interesting. Now taking them April 6th deadline for universal credit with the new financial year. UK disability groups issuing final warnings to claimants starting April 6th. The health element of the universal credit will be significantly reduced from new claimants dropping from 123 to approximately 217 per month. Claimants must establish their limited capability for work as cited or submit footnotes before April 5th deadline to be grandfathered into the higher payment rates. Grandfathered. Yeah. Now I'll leave it. And 4. UN Human Rights Council debates AI and digital rights. A draft resolution led by Mexico and New Zealand is currently under consideration by the UN Human Rights Council. The resolution focuses on split inclusive digital technologies and to recognize AI and data-driven systems to prevent automatic discrimination against disabled people. The goal is to establish a global standard for inclusive design in everything from autonomous transport to AI-driven home tools. I think that's good and necessary. Said in a previous episode of the UK disnewknow podcast. I think for the challenges that AI brings, I think actually it's not a great leveler, but I do think it will. It's a great opportunity for disabled people to create our own systems and for each other to create accessible technologies and be at the forefront of design and things. And because obviously with idea of AI, if you want to front end develop, in the tech side is if you can fit it, you can do it. So I think a lot of AI companies in terms of like thought leaders, so people as thought leaders, even if they're not general tech people, whether it's prompt engineering or whether it's actually, design consultancy with AI in mind, I think it's some people do need to be at the forefront of that. I think TPOs and individuals kind of need to be forefront of learning how to use these AI stacks. And as I've said before, I think even in terms of general day-to-day systems, whether it's for individual projects, managing that, whether it's for, day-to-day living, a way of using kind of the tech to create apps and software and to kind of make things easier, even communication acts and stuff. I mean, let's not go shouldn't go overboard because obviously all this no-code stuff, how they build things to a certain extent. I know the advertisements make it sound as though, you'll build the next Windows. It's it's been equal to prescription. Subscription. Well, it makes it sound like a subscription because, make it sound like you're getting there. You love. Technical equivalent of golden medicine, but, it's not subscription, you know what I mean? And, make it sound as if, you can build anything, but you can only build to a certain point, and obviously he copies code, and the code a lot of the time isn't that great. It's okay for a minimum viable product, but I think even for something that people can use in their own homes, it's potentially enough, and there are, a lot of several people that do get into tech and can code and stuff. And I think, it's an opportunity to kind of have a say in that and be thought leaders within that and shape design and accessibility from that angle. And I think we need to get on board with that. Because it's look at Steve Jobs. He wasn't a tech person, wasn't even a design person. He was a marketer, really. And it was his vision that, obviously, with people as he explains, the tech side, but, he's the one that's is the visionary. I think disabled people need to be the visionaries with AI. But, yeah, to do it, you also need to safeguard themselves with that, because of the downsides of AI. There's a lot of people that couldn't be susceptible and vulnerable to it, and people are no different. I think, the bill is important, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out from that. Sorry, this was meant to be a brief roundup. So the last story is the South Africa Institute links chronic pain to disability trends. So research today released, I believe it's Cape Town, earlier this week, highlights that chronic pain has become the primary driver of new disability claims in South Africa. The report calls for a shift in our healthcare system evaluating visible disabilities during workplace assessments. That's interesting. You could argue that it's good to say that actually, that makes that research and is kind of, we're interested to see how that is followed up by Parliament and government now and see whether it has any legs. Because I think it's a trend we're seeing across the globe, and ultimately chronic pain is something that is at the root of a lot of people's health conditions in terms of people that become stable later in life. Obviously there could be any condition, but there's the amount of people that are diagnosed with chronic pain as part of a newfound health condition is alarming. And it does need to, the fact that they've addressed that and not addressed it, they've highlighted it, and the fact that they're linking it to work and saying that employers need to kind of take a seriously look into. I think, it'd be interesting to see who picks up on that research and where that goes, and whether there's a global conversation on the back of it. I'm not saying it's not recognised. It's obviously in Europe, obviously it is, but I do think that that idea that it's focused on the employees taking it seriously. I think that's an interesting idea, and I think it needs to be. We can learn from that, particularly in this country, because and look further into terms of stress and in terms of also culture and cost of living crisis and how people are overworking and becoming ill and not taking time off because they can't afford to, etc. and so forth, and how that eventually builds up. Obviously, we know about stress in terms of mental health, and we know about stress in terms of physical aspects of kind of serious health conditions, strokes, heart attacks, those kind of things. But in terms of invisible conditions, say for instance, such as fibromyalgia and stuff, be interesting to see that further research into that and research done globally, and how would employers, if they do actually take notice of such research, how they respond to it. Because I do think it's, something that it's only going to increase with the crisis in cost of living that hasn't really gone away in the best part of 20 years, really. And it seems if it's come to, be victims of the moment with issues that are going on globally, but, even without a certain issue that's prevalent, and that's one, the economic climate isn't getting up as everything. Can have any real massive upturn. So these underlying health issues and these conditions really need to be kind of studied, and they link to health work conditions and workers' rights, especially in the political climates that a lot of these countries are facing in terms of the divisive political climate that we appear to be living in at the moment. It's a battle that perhaps is being lost, but maybe research such as this can open new thought processes. Anyway, that's the roundup. Well, it wasn't much of a roundup, sorry I ranted. But thanks for listening, and speak to you hopefully tuning in for the next episode. Thank you, bye.